Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining in. Those of you have managed to join in. So as you know that it's the World Spine Day today. So we're just going to be talking about that, and the topic obviously is back on track. So we're going to try and raise awareness about spine and what's a good and what's bad for the spine, and what we should and we shouldn't be doing. First of all, I introduce myself. So my name is Samira Bhatti, one of the chiropractors working in the private sector at Spire Bristol, but also at one of the other clinics that I have joined. I am also a qualified radiographer, and I do lecture as well, senior lecturer at WEOC, and do a bit of public speaking as well, from as you can gather. I'm a healthcare professional, council registered, General Chiropractic Council's British Chiropractic Association, Royal College of Chiropractors. So I've just, done lots of things, and I'm quite passionate about health and well-being. So given it's the World Spine Day, I think it's good to raise awareness. So let's get started. So those of you that are already aware of, this is obviously your spine and the importance of knowing your spine and how to keep it healthy and prevent it from injury. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong when we talk about spine. So you can have injuries, and by injuries I mean like falls, trips, a repetitive strain injury, but also relating to poor posture, inactivity, which is most importantly the covering topic of today, and the sedentary lifestyle. And actually, the sedentary lifestyle is the biggest culprit of poor posture, ergonomics, repetitive strain injury, and the most common of those is our modern living and technology and the lifestyle that we have. So by modern lifestyle, I mean, like lots of you, and as you know, because of the pandemic, a lot of you have been working from home. So there's a lot of work that goes on from poor posture, poor ergonomics, which then obviously leads to poor, bad backs. A lot of us have become dependent. So not only are we using laptops, but also mobile phones, become less active. So people, I think, nowadays have become very less active, partly because technology has made our lives easier. We drive cars, we take public transport, we entertain ourselves in front of TV or computer screens. Fewer people are doing manual work, and most of us have jobs that involve little physical effort. Things like work, household chores, shopping, and other necessary activities are less demanding than it was for previous generations. We move around less, which means we burn off less energy than people used to. And actually, research suggests that many adults spend more than 7 hours a day sitting down, and whether that's at work, on transport, or in their leisure time. And that obviously includes watching TV, using a computer, reading, listening to music, doing work, traveling by car, bus, or train. And actually, people over 65, they spend more than 10 hours a day sitting down or lying down, which makes them very more sedentary age group. And inactivity is Department of Health describes inactivity as a silent killer. And that's because there's evidence that suggests that actually inactivity and sedentary behaviors, such as sitting or lying down for long periods of time, is bad for your health. And it links to developing many chronic diseases such as heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes, as well as weight gain, and then leading to obesity. This is because obviously sitting for long periods of time, it slows down your metabolism, which affects your body's ability to regulate blood sugar, blood pressure, and a breakdown of body fat. And it can lead to many other musculoskeletal related conditions such as neck pain, back pain, and poor posture, which I've already mentioned. So the key is to move more and sit less. And the recommendation suggests that you should break up your time of sitting down with physical activity of just 1 to 2 minutes every so often, so that you're not sitting down for long periods of time. So activity levels, there are different types of activity levels. So some people would obviously say that, you're if you're active, you're going to hurt your back because, it's getting the balance right. So any activity can be according to your own body's ability to cope with it, and what you can and can't do. So it's not point trying to do overactivity, because you've got to get the right balance. What's suitable for yourself may not be suitable for somebody else. So it's trying to get the importance of that is right. So there's plenty of activities that you can do, and in fact varied activities throughout the week are better, and they should be varied according to intensity, such as moderate and vigorous intensity. So 150 minutes per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity, and there's lots of different things you can do, like some of the lists I've put in for like things like brisk walking, aerobics, riding a bike, dancing, jogging, running, swimming, or some of the sports. And to stay healthy, adults should try and do some type of physical activity every day and aim for at least 150 minutes, if not more. And if you look at this list, there's lots of different things you can do. So any type of activity is better or good for you. The more you spend time physically active, the greater the health benefits will be. And every relatively small increase in physical activity can contribute to improved health and quality of life. So everyday activity is better than none, and more obviously is better still. You should then be thinking about doing some strengthening activities that work for all major muscle groups, like your legs, your hips, your back, your chest, your shoulders, your arms, on at least 2 days a week. So 75 minutes, like I said, of vigorous activity. So you have to reduce the amount of time you're sitting down or lying down, and break up long periods of not moving with some activity. For any type of benefits to your health, you need to be moving quick enough, and also you need to vary your activity according to what you're doing. So like I was saying, so any activity that you do, it has to involve some strength and conditioning activities as well. So some of the activities that I've mentioned, you can involve those alongside your muscle strengthening exercises, like your yoga, your Pilates, and weights, or some resistance type activities. I find lots of people actually, they think that the activity is just doing strenuous exercise, but actually combination of different types is better, to vary the exercise and to work different muscle groups. And like I said earlier, it's better to find what suits you best, and what might suit one person may not be suitable for you. Is to try to get the right balance into your sessions, and having the shorter sessions of activities and then gradually building it up, rather than trying to do too quick, too soon. So what are the benefits of exercise then? Why should we exercise? Why people tell us not to exercise, and why should we not rest? Well, actually, people used to think that doing any exercise is going to make their symptoms or their pain worse. But actually, recent studies have suggested that keeping active is better than sedentary or lying down. And coming back to the exercises, if you do even just a general walk, if you do that on a routine basis, so like, for example, I don't know, parking your car a little bit away, walking for shortened distances, or part of your journey. And walking is known to have good benefits for all of your muscles, and not just work one particular muscle groups. And stair climbing as well. So instead of using lifts, so stair climbing actually burns more calories per minute than jogging, and counts towards your 150 minutes of each week. Other types of activities that you can do is skipping. So skipping is a very good at increasing strenuous exercise, but it starts slowly at first, and then try skipping for 20 to 30 seconds, and then march on the spot for about 30 seconds, and then repeat again. So as your fitness improves, you can increase the time you spend skipping. So the exercises, like I was saying, the benefits of exercise is, why should we do exercise? Why should we rest? Well, inactivity increases your risks of developing other conditions. So it's essential that if you want to live a healthy and fulfilling life into an old age, you must keep active. And most effective way of increasing our daily energy expenditure, physical activity plays a role in maintaining a healthy weight, including the prevention of weight gain and reduction in body fat by balancing energy intake from our dietary intake. Also plays a part in prevention of weight regain after substantial weight loss. So any respective change in weight, people who are overweight or obese will reduce their risk of cardiovascular disease and improve their health by being physically active. So if you think that actually I've hurt my back, which is what happens in most cases, people who have hurt their back or have an injury, they think, well, actually, I'm going to rest my back because it's going to help me and I'm going to get better. But actually, if you move your back, it helps with the healing process a little bit more, and it gets you moving a lot quicker than you actually think. And some of the sedentary lifestyles has proven that people who do physical regular activities, there are less chances of developing some of those conditions that I've listed. So for example, osteoarthritis, you lower your risks of osteoarthritis by 83%. Your hip fractures, they lower the risk by 68%. Diabetes and cancer by 50%. Coronary heart disease and stroke by 35%. And things like depression and dementia by 30%, and breast cancer by 20%. Some of them are directly linked, and some of them are indirectly linked to your exercise. And that's because physical activity promotes good health and functioning, but also helps prevent and manage disease. It also contributes to a range of wider social benefits for individuals and communities. Is associated with decreased mortality and lower morbidity for several non-communicable diseases. Adults who are physically active report more positive mental and physical health. So it's not just for your musculoskeletal, but it's also for your mental health as well. It leads to healthier and happier life. It boosts your self-esteem. It helps with your sleep, your mood. And I have lots of patients actually come back to me suggesting that actually once they start doing more regular physical activity, they feel better in themselves. And that's because exercise, it has it has endorphins, which is a natural painkiller. So it helps to release these chemicals within your body, and it's a natural way of adapting or engaging with your own body's needs. It's like a pill, and that's the most cost-effective drug there ever will be invented, is the exercise. And if you exercise on a regular basis, you can actually help prevent lots of things that can go wrong with your health. So if you look at the advice, like I said, it's not only for your physical well-being, but it's also for your mental well-being, for your individual development as well. So a lot of people think that actually if they are ill, they will kind of stay indoors, they don't want to do anything. But actually research has shown that if you actually go out even for a little walk in the fresh air, it actually helps boost your mood, and it helps release chemicals in your brain, which helps engage your body, and it helps with that development within your body, which then helps promote health and increases the prevention of the illness, but also improves the stages of the illness and helps to improve and increase the rate at which you will start recovering. So coming to recovery, again, coming injuries and recovery. So depending on the type of injury you have, it can take a few weeks to a few months to make a full recovery. And I wouldn't suggest returning to your previous level of activity until you're fully recovered, but you should aim to gently start moving the injured body part as soon as possible. Gentle exercises should help to improve your area's range of movement. The movement becomes easier and the pain decreases. The stretching and strengthening exercises, like I said, you can start introducing those gradually. But again, my message would be to try not to do too much too quickly, because again, that can delay the recovery. So start by doing frequent repetitions of a few simple exercises before gradually increasing the amount you do. And you can speed up the recovery. You can stay as active as possible and try and continue with your day. The more me, but it's known that people who remain active are actually less likely to recover. They're more likely to recover quicker. So staying active is the key. So research suggests that bed rest for more than a couple of days can make things harder to get going, and it gradually increases your normal activity and do your regular exercises. It doesn't help with your back pain, and in fact, long-term bed rest can actually make it worse, and your muscles become weaker and you become less fit. Keeping the muscles around the spine stronger, again, will provide you with more support to your bones and joints, and take the pressure off of them. If you start being active for a long time, the muscles in your back become weak and you become less fit. This again can make your pain worse, which is why regular exercises leads to shorter and less episodes of back pain. Exercises, like I said earlier, releases endorphin, which again improves your pain and makes you feel better. You should carry on with your exercises for at least 6 to 8 weeks to help prevent another injury. Often people think stop exercising once their back pain has cleared up, and I think most of you will relate to that. If you have ever had any injuries, or if you've had any back pain or neck pain, you'll find that you do your exercises religiously, and as soon as the problem is gone, you stop them. And this is where most people will go wrong, because if you stop all the exercises, all the improvement you've made will obviously disappear within a few weeks, and then you're back to square one. So it's important that you continue to exercise regularly and don't stop when the pain is gone, because if you do that, you almost have to kind of play the catch-up game. So all the regular exercises to help you make flexible, stronger, and increase your stamina. So things like, like I mentioned before, swimming, walking, yoga, Pilates, all of these will help keep your back moving, keep your back stronger, and prevent any injuries. And I think the key sometimes is, like I said earlier, we do exercises when we need to, and then we stop when we don't need to. But actually the key is to keep doing them to prevent. Prevention is always better than cure. Some people may say, well, exercises, you can get injuries from exercises. Yes, correct. But these are injuries relating to the type of activity that you do. So if you've never done, for example, weight training, and suddenly tomorrow you go out and do weight training, and you do heavy weights, of course you're going to injure your back. So coming back to what I said earlier, is trying to do what is suitable for your body, what is the endurance levels, and what you can and can't do. So it's finding the right balance for your body. So the actual risk of adverse events from physical activity are relatively low, and the health benefits from outweighs the risk. There is little evidence to suggest that physical activity is unsafe for anyone when performed at an intensity and in a manner appropriate to an individual's current activity level, health status, and physical function. So start at low durations and intensities. and building up over time as the body adjusts is the safest way to progress from inactivity to meet the guidelines. So it's the safe progress, gradually building up your activity rather than starting too soon, too quickly. So anything that you do, it has to match up to your body's own endurance and what your body can tolerate, and gradually building that up. And even after injury, if you've hurt your back, it's gradually getting back into the routines of what you used to do. So it's the goal setting and what your body is able to do whilst it's injured, to compare to what it used to be able to do when it was at its optimal level. So it's trying to find that optimum level that suits your body without further injuring it. Chiropractic can mean your neck pain, sports related injuries, and it improves, it reduces the pain, improves your range of movement and flexibility. And I think sometimes you can work with the chiropractors and they will do their chiropractic treatments, their manipulations and adjustments to try and get the back moving or the neck moving. But actually, it's the exercises and the rehab that actually keeps your body going and keeps it functioning at its optimal level. Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to achieve is for your body to work at its optimum level. So a lot of us chiropractors, we work to try and get the corrective alignments within the body to reduce the restricted areas, to reduce the tightness, the stiffness, and ultimately to reduce the pain and improve the range of movement. But our goal is to get the body functioning and moving at its optimum best. And to do that, you've got to provide the body with the strength and conditioning that the body needs. And that's through, prescribed rehab exercises, getting the person to go into doing different activities and gradually building up their potential to try and do a little bit more, and is working with the patient as well to try and get them moving, try and get them to what their body is capable of achieving and doing. And I think this the key with anything that you do in regards to the activities. It's trying to keep the spine is designed to move, and this is what we should be doing. Your discs are full of fluids, so it's trying to get the discs moving, keep them hydrated. And the only way you can get the fluid pushing around the disc is by keeping it moving. And this is what the spine is designed to do. It's designed to move. And if you think that you're going to hurt your back or hurt your spine, yes, if you are doing it incorrectly, you are going to hurt your back or cause more injuries, which is why it's important that you seek correct advice and you seek professional opinions and professional advice in order to do the right exercises, the right activity that suits you. And I think that's the important thing would be to try and get the balance between trying to do too much or too little. And sedentary lifestyles, and especially given the current situations, have actually led us more towards inactivity than being active. Because when you're at work, you probably have to walk to work, you have to walk around in the building, whereas when you're home, there's very little that you do. So it's keeping raising the awareness of activity compared to inactivity is important. And I think the importance of doing the talks today is to try and raise the awareness of the importance of being active and the importance of exercises overall, to try and get people moving, try and get people more active. And it's not just for your musculoskeletal system, it's for your general health and well-being. And being active, it actually helps to keeps the whole body maintained, and it helps with lots of different things. And some of the conditions I mentioned, and lots of people would relate to that actually inactivity causes a lot more problems, and they become more chronic problems than being active. And to a certain level, obviously, if you are doing lots of high impact, high intensity activities, then that's going to have an impact on your joints. If you're having, if you're having problems with your joints, or if you already have an injury, then yes, then high impact activities may have a knock-on effect. But like I mentioned earlier, it's finding the right balance, which is why chiropractors or any professionals that you work alongside with can help you gain that right balance, to help you know what is good and what is bad, what is going to help you, what's going to benefit you, and what's going to be harmful for the body. So it's trying to be active, but within the optimum levels, and within the functionality of your own body and what your body can and can't do. Right, that's me done. Were there any questions that people wanted to ask?
Hi, thank you so much for that presentation. I was a bit confused why my camera wasn't working, sorry. Thank you so much, that was great, and I think perfectly fitting for the World Spine Day, and especially because this year's motto, theme is back on track. I think that was very useful information. I can't see any questions on the chat right now. Just like in the last one, if anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat or raise your hand. But maybe we give them like a minute, just in case.
Yeah, that's fine.
Writing a paragraph and then they're going to be frustrated when they send it in. It's ending. So, right. Just as info for everyone who has been listening, the next presentation is by Catherine Quinn, and that starts in about half an hour. So you have time for a snack break or another quick, opportunity to move between the sessions of sitting down.
Because this is the key.
Exactly. You can't be preaching that all day and then not give the people a break to actually do it.
Exactly. We've got to practice what we preach.
Exactly. Oh, there's a question. Judy asks, hi, you mentioned moving rather than sitting. How often? 1 or 2 minutes, an hour, or more like 15?
Okay. So I would suggest, are you typing, or can Judy hear?
I think she can hear.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So to answer your question, Judy, I would suggest, so according to RESA, you should be moving every half an hour, so 30 to 40 minutes, 45 minutes, you should be moving, and 1 to 2 minutes every half an hour, I would suggest. And it doesn't have to be, a massive change in the scenery as such, but even if you got up from where you were sat and had a little walk around the room, perhaps that is going to help you keep moving. But every half an hour to 45 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes is recommended.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And then there was feedback from someone. Fantastic presentation. It's nice to see some facts and figures that we can share with patients who potentially live a sedentary life. Really good education to pass on. And I think there's one more question by Louise. If patient is in the obese category, how would you advise them to lose weight in a nicer way via exercise, even though the patient is living a sedentary lifestyle?
Okay, so if the patient isn't obese, but you know that they are inactive and you wanting them to lose weight, I think if that was my patient, I think the nicest way I would suggest is to say the amount of load that takes on the joints. So you want to prevent the amount of loading that takes place on the joint. And if you're slightly over then what your joints are designed to take, then that's going to load your joints a lot more, than potentially leading to more wear and tear in the joints, especially your weight-bearing joints. So for example, your hips and knees and your ankles. So I think the nicest way would be to try and relate it back to their spine, relate it back to their joints, and how much loading will take place on the joints, and perhaps show them pictures of like the amount of loading that takes place. And I think sometimes I find I use a lot of visual tools when I'm talking to my patients, or when I'm showing them what's wrong, and I think visual tools help patients visualize what they can actually see. So I think show them a picture about like the loading effects on the joints, on why that would be then important to try and be active to limit the amount of loading that happens through the spine. For example, when you're sitting down, you're loading your spine differently, causing more compression on the discs, or when you are overweight, then that causes more compression or loading through the joints that are weight-bearing joints. So that would be probably that's how I would probably address it.
Great, thank you. That was very useful advice, I'm sure, for not only Louise, but everyone else. And then Michelle asks, may I ask, is acupuncture really beneficial for patients, and do you suggest chiropractic students learning acupuncture?
I do. So personally, I do acupuncture, and I think combination of acupuncture and chiropractic treatments, they work really well. And I think if you can release the pressure in the muscles, if you're using more dry needling, then I think that it really benefits the patients, and it helps release the pressure. And then you're working through the whole musculoskeletal system. So you're working through the joints with the adjustments and manipulations, just trying to release the pressure in the joints. And then you're working through the muscles themselves with dry needling to try and alleviate the pressure in the muscles and help release the pain. So I think it works really well. And as for the students being taught, and I think it's something that could be incorporated, and I think that would be one of the handy tools to kind of educate the students and prepare them for that. And if they wanted to, is something that they wanted to take an interest in, is something that obviously they can do that after qualifying. But it's something to definitely raise an awareness of, or at least include it to try and educate them a little bit more, give them a basic backgrounds.
Great, thank you very much.
Yes.
Mohammed Tagari asks, with the new suggestions of using standing desks for office workers behind the computers the entire day, would you say it's recommended to use standing desks the entire day, as it may cause overload on the joints when done excessively, or at what intervals would it be beneficial?
Okay, so I do practice, preach about the standing desk, but I wouldn't say standing. So any position any loading position for your spine, whether that's sitting for all day long or standing all day long, it's wrong. Being in one position is never designed, your spine is never designed for that position. So I would always suggest my patients to sit-stand desks, and sit-stand desks work really well. So I would suggest perhaps working stood up for, and even if you were stood up, I would still say if you were stood up for like half an hour, 45 minutes, I would just do march on the spots, or just have a little stroll around the room and come back to it. And then maybe like after a couple of hours of standing up working, you can sit down and then change. So I think I would switch maybe like every 1 to 2 hours, just so that your body is used to different dynamics, different sitting or standing positions, so you're not loading through the joints. Because the problem with standing for whole day is we tend to stand not in a neutral position. We tend to stand putting one weight through one leg, so we tend to hinge our hips. So again, you're not actually standing with both your feet slightly hip width apart and knees slightly bent, so that you're taking the pressure off of the spine. So when you stand, you tend to lean to one side slightly more, so you favor one leg. So again, that's never good, because your spine is slightly curved, and there's loading that happens through one side of the spine more than the other. So stand. So sitting down and changing your position every maybe couple of hours would be recommended.
Great, thank you so much. One more question by Joel. Will we have a presentation about acupuncture from you eventually?
I don't think it's in the module criteria for now, but if it is something that is put in the module content, then I'd be more than happy to talk about that.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. Savannah posted some advice about the standing desk in an office situation. Just volunteer to be on tea or coffee duty. You'll move plenty throughout the day. Okay, that's good advice. Thank you for being on the call today and giving the presentation and being so nice and answering all the questions that everyone had about various topics.
Pleasure. Well, thanks for inviting me. It's been a great opportunity, and I think it's nice, to be part of that, celebrating that World Spine Day, because this is what we do, and this is what chiropractors do. They're helping. They're out there trying to help people to be a bit more active and help them have less sedentary lifestyle. So it's nice to be part of that, promotion of health and healthy living and being active.
Great, perfect. If there are no more questions, then I think we would be done for today, or if you wanted to add anything else.
The only no, apart from like what I've already said, I think a lot of people, I think my advice, if I was going to give one advice to people, my advice would be to whatever activity that they do or are thinking of doing, is always seek professional advice, because I think it's when they hear professional like us talking about being active, they think, oh yes, my chiropractor or my physio or my doctor said I need to keep active. So they jump in to try and find different activities. And I think sometimes it's important to discuss it with a professional, and talk to someone who knows about activities and who knows about their medical history, their case history, and because they can advise them better than talking to, say, their friends, or which, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's their professionals will know their case history, their details about it, so they can advise them exactly what sort of activities doing that. Because like I said, some of these lists that I've listed in the presentation, I think walking is probably the safest exercise. You can't really go wrong with walking unless you're doing uphill walking, but things like swimming. So again, depending on what sort of previous injuries that you may have, although swimming is a very good exercise, it may not actually be suitable for you, or Pilates or yoga. So it's knowing what suits you best. So it's not point, saying, yes, okay, I'm going to be active from tomorrow and go out and do, weight training, when clearly that's not going to be suitable for you, or go out running when that's not going to be suitable for you, because you've got to be prepped and you've got to have the right gear, and you've got to prepare your body for whatever activity that you might choose to do.
I think that's very good advice, and I think that's something that's not talked about a lot. So thank you so much for sharing that. And doesn't seem like there are any more questions. Thank you on behalf of the WCCS WIOG team and everyone who has listened.
Thank you so much.
Have a great evening.
Thank you, you too. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.